waves, the different depth, and that's the problem with the Browns. They don't have any depth at all.
Yeah, and again, I agree to disagree with you because, you got a guy like Desmond Bryant that the Browns, who I was really high on when we signed him from the Raiders a season ago, and he's not going to be starting. And you got a guy, Armani Bryant, that just came out of nowhere, 7th-round pick from last year, and he's starting. So the Browns are injured. I mean, Buster Screen's a little banged up, but he is playing. Desmond Bryant.
Everybody's playing.
Yeah, well, Desmond Bryant should not be playing. I don't think he's playing, and Armani Bryant's getting the start. So the Browns
he's definitely not listed out. I can tell you that he's not listed out on the latest injury report from the Browns. So until I hear from them, I'm going to assume that he may get in there and play. They may hold him out game day, but other than that, okay, that's one player. I mean, but regardless, as a whole, they're if you're out there, you're playing. I mean, Buster Screen's hand is in a wrap. I mean, that's not going to affect his coverage skills one bit.
Sure. J-Rock, just so you know, sorry, I didn't have it pulled up. The wins that I have are the Titans, the Jaguars, the Raiders. I think the Buccaneers are beatable, and the Buffalo Bills. And I think the Browns could win one Steelers game. So I 6-7 wins to me is there.
I'll tell you, you had me there with I have 4 of those wins as ones that the Browns definitely can win. I don't think Tampa Bay is one of those. I think Lovey's gonna do a number with Tampa. I think they've got some weapons there. I mean, I could be wrong. We got to see how their season goes too. First year coach, but that's a different kind of first year coach there with Lovey Smith, which I will say again, as much as I like Mike Pettin, is the guy that I wish was the coach of the Cleveland Browns right now. I really like that guy. I think he's going to turn around Tampa Bay quickly and make them a pretty strong team over there.
I do like Lovey Smith too, J-Rock. That was a name that we threw around last year.
Yeah.
And the Browns were coaching search when they were looking. So,
but so they're all right. So let's do what you do, man. This Sunday, you've got the Browns, you got the Steelers. They're getting it on. We know the history. It's on the Browns how this is going to go. Nobody's been of everybody that I've also polled across the panel. The closest prediction I've got is the Browns losing by 10 points. Nobody's got them even closer than that. So. Again, like I said, I'm with you as far as this being a winnable game. Of the first 3, this is the one you've got, on paper, the best chance to win, although maybe week 2 is more winnable simply because it's at home, but I don't care. New Orleans may not play as well on the road, but they don't turn into a pumpkin at midnight. Drew Brees isn't going to come to Cleveland and throw 6 interceptions, So I got to say that it's Pittsburgh. And really the key to me is on the defensive side of the ball. Joe Hayden, you want to live up to making $800 million, then go be locked down because Antonio Brown is going to slice the Browns up if somebody doesn't lock him down. You've got to take care of business with him and then handle the other wide receivers there for the Steelers. They've got a couple of new toys on offense, and it's going to be up to Justin Gilbert. It's going to be up to Buster Screen. You guys are going to have to lock those guys down because Big Ben's going to scramble. He's going to keep plays alive. The Browns haven't showed much of a pass rush in the preseason. Hopefully that changes because if you give them all day, they're going to pick you apart, and then Brown will start to go over the top, and then it can get ugly quick. So really the Browns defense has to keep them in this game.
Yeah, absolutely, J-Rock. We can get into the dog bones and
let's do it.
Go right into it.
How do the Browns go to Pittsburgh and come home with a victory? Script it out for me.
All right, here we go, J-Rock. Dog bone number 1. We got to get after Big Ben. Cleveland front 7 has to get after Big Ben. We learned earlier from what you said was that the Browns are 1-17 against Ben Roethlisberger.
Yep.
That one win that the Browns had, the Browns sacked Ben Roethlisberger 8 times in 2009. So the key here is the Browns must sack Big Ben at least 3 or more times to have a chance at winning this game. And what I mean by that is last season, the Steelers, when Ben Roethlisberger was sacked 3 or more times, the Steelers were 3-6. So if you fluster him and you contain him and you gang tackle him and get him down, this is dog bone number 1. This is a huge thing that the Browns are going to have to do. I believe, and this goes back to what we were just saying a minute ago, if the Browns have a strong point on this team, I believe it is the defensive front seven. I
yes.
see them as being stacked at linebacker and stacked at defense. I'll even go as far to say that there are some guys like Billy Wynn or John Hughes or even Ishmaeli Kitchen that could start on other NFL teams. So
I agree.
I
agree.
I believe the Browns have the personnel to manhandle the Steelers' weak offensive line. The Steelers' right tackle, Marcus Gilbert. Go ahead.
I'm with you. I was just going to say I 100% agree, and I do believe that is probably the one advantage area that I would circle on the depth chart for the Browns and the Steelers would be the Steelers' offensive line against the Browns' defensive front, because they do. But can they get – they got to show that without a blitz, they can against that Pittsburgh offensive line. Yeah, when you get a blitz, when you get, Mingo and Kruger pushing, then you get 5 or 6. But I want to see that front four. I'm with you on the 3. That's a great stat, too. 3 and 6 when teams sack him 3 times or more. I'm not necessarily counting the sacks, but I want to see 15, 20 plus quarterback harassments by this defense combined. Armani Bryant, like you said, all those guys getting in there and just continuing to be in his face, even if you're not bringing him necessarily down for the sack.
I went back and looked up the stats on Marcus Gilbert, who's a decent right tackle in the NFL. He plays for the Steelers.
Yeah.
In 2013, he gave up 11 sacks on his side. That was the third most in the NFL. I believe that if the Browns can get pressure on Ben Roethlisberger and beat up that Steelers line, I believe this is a winnable game, like I said, and that's Dawg Bone number 1, J-Rock.
All right. Get 3 or more sacks on Big Ben. All right. Dawg Bone number 2.
Dawg Bone number 2, establish the run stop early. Both Steeler potheads, Le'Veon Bell and LeGarrette Blount, are playing on Sunday.
Yes.
It's imperative that the defense set the tone early in the Steelers' running game. Both Blount and Bell received 34 carries in the preseason, I counted. They averaged a little more than 3 yards a carry. The production was very pedestrian-like, and it was unimpressive to me. The other thing is, in 4 preseason games, the Steelers didn't find the end zone on the ground at all. I expect the Browns to shut it down. If you're going to beat the Steelers and you're going to grind it out, and this is going to be an AFC North, opener, battling, smash mouth football game, you're going to have to shut down the Steeler running game and make them one-dimensional and make Ben Roethlisberger beat you. Establishing the run defense, to me, is a huge key in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be very much an important thing for the Browns to do here as you're moving forward. They have to take care of business and again, that's that up front. That's playing to the strength of your team, and that's going to be big. You can't get gashed. You can't have those guys carving you up when you're and I'll add to that, and maybe this is your third one, I don't know, but I'd add to that getting off the field on third down. That is a must. If you don't do that, this game's over before. Let them continue to turn it over on third down. This defense will spend 38 minutes on the field. Oh. Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, sorry, I lost you.
If you don't get that ball back on third down, if you let them convert, this defense will spend 38, 40 minutes on the field during this game, and they won't have a chance from the opening bell.
No, I agree with you. That was the problem that the Browns had a huge issue with in preseason.
Yes.
So it was giving up those long third downs, and that's unacceptable.
Let me throw this out here because, and here I know, and I know that you take some flack from people about being a homer, I'm definitely not on that side. That's what I ask you to do. But I like that we can go back and forth. But here's something that people may not want to hear when you're sitting here talking about. I do agree that the difference between the Browns and the Steelers is not as huge as some people would say. And last year, actually, when you look, I was really surprised at what I'm about to point out. Statistically, when you look at the teams, they're very similar in a lot of ways to where you compare them in different categories. And as a team average, I'm telling you, last year, Total yards per game. Cleveland, 339. Pittsburgh, 338. They were statistically identical, but it gets even, it's literally like that across the board. Passing, Cleveland 253, Pittsburgh 251. Rushing, both teams averaged 86 yards a game on the ground. And then defensively, they're again almost identical. Yards allowed, Pittsburgh 338 a game, Cleveland 332. Passing yards allowed, Pittsburgh 222, Cleveland 221 a game. Just a 1 yard a game difference. Rushing yards allowed, Pittsburgh 116, Cleveland 111 a game. So yes, I do say that maybe that gap is still bigger than you're saying. So I do think Pittsburgh is still more talented than the Browns, but the gap is closer than a lot of people just going, oh man, Pittsburgh's just going to blow the Browns out. And I was a bit surprised looking at that to go, man, statistically those teams were relatively identical, but look at the difference. Pittsburgh started slow, and what a good team and a good coaching staff does is get better and improve as the season goes on, and they fixed it. By the end of the season, they got themselves back up to even. The Browns, the opposite. They floundered around and flirted with being good in the first half. Then the bottom fell out, the depth fell out, and they trailed it all the way down the season. And that's where you end up going the difference between 8-8 and 4-12.
Absolutely, J-Rock. The Browns are striving to get to what Pittsburgh's already accomplished in 2 years. I mean, that's but your stats are right on. I did all the research this week and found the same information. It's crazy on how close statistical wise these two teams are. But the difference is they have better Roethlisberger and they have a game breaker in Antonio Brown on offense, and the Browns
and they had a coach like Coach Tomlin. I like Mike Tomlin, and that's an advantage over Chud and over a rookie Mike Pettin.
Yeah, and their coach and their team has been together, like Jonathan Knight said, just for once. Just keep the same coach and try to keep something going instead of breaking it apart every year. And that's something the Steelers do not do. So
absolutely,
I agree with you 100%.
All
right. Dawg Bone number 3 is on the flip side of Dawg Bone number 2, and that is Dawg Bone number 3 is the number 81. Though many people may not agree with me or take my side, I believe in numbers and facts, and I try to write on basing off of numbers and facts. So last year, when opponents ran for 81 yards or more on the Steelers were 1-7, J-Rock. When the opponent ran for 81 yards or more, the Steelers were 1-7.
That's not even a huge number.
I'm sorry, we're 1-7 when they were for 81. The Browns must do everything that they pitch to their fan base, to the media, to themselves in the offseason, and that is run the football with authority. I mean, they told us that they were going to do this. They made a statement by drafting Terrence West. They made a statement by picking up Ben Tate. They made a statement by picking up a fourth running back here a week ago in Glenn Winston. The Browns are carrying four true running backs on their roster. I expect a heavy workload from Ben Tate, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Terrence West get a handful of carries too. The magic number for Tate is 19 carries. I want to see Tate get 19 carries. If he gets 19 carries, at 4.3, that's 81 yards. If the Browns can get 81 yards or more on the ground from Ben Tate or their running backs in total, I believe that the rivalry is back and that the Cleveland Browns can shock the NFL world on Sunday.
Well, I'll tell you what. Now, I will definitely give you on your 3 dog bones. Clap from me, because if the Browns do those 3 things, they will definitely have every bit the opportunity to win this game. And that last one's a good man. I didn't know that 81 yards. That's not a astronomical number, for a team to average. Especially, you're not talking about even an individual. You're talking about a team. Usually your fullback chips in 15 or 20. Your quarterback might get you 7 or 10 throughout the game. This running back picks you up even 30, 40, 50. You're already past 81 yards as a team, and nobody's had a good rushing day yet. So actually, to think about that being the 1-7, when teams ran for 81 or more last year, that's an interesting interesting statistic. I'd like to look at the game by game too and see the actual circumstances with those losses, just to see if there was any anomaly